D'Angelo, and I am a librarian at Chin Park Library. And I'm going to introduce Katherine, and then we'll get started. Are you frustrated by the black hole that your job applications seem to go into? Do you wish you knew how to get contracted by recruiters for positions that are perfect for you? Could you use some pointers for getting the offer when you interview? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you're going to gain great value from what you learned from today's speaker. Katherine Akbar is the president of Yes Career Coaching and Resume Writing Services, a top-rated career success company that has helped almost 3,000 people get a new job. She is the world's only trainer on interview Aikido. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
A spiritual and interrogative strategy for getting more offers when you interview. When she's not helping her clients get a new job twice as fast as the national average, Katherine enjoys belly dancing and international adventures. Please join me in welcoming from Yes Career Coaching and Resume Writing Services, Career Success Advisor, Interview Coach, and Super Picky Editor, Katherine Akbar. Thank you, Katherine.
All right. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. All right. So we have about 50 minutes here together tonight, right, Beth? Go to 30. So I've made a note of the things that you guys wanted to discuss, and I'll make sure to weave those into the presentation that I've prepared. And there will also be time at the end to go over your additional questions that the presentation may spark in your mind. So let me just share my screen here with you. Okay. And then, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so you can see the young lady on the bottom, pretty stressed out and discouraged. We don't want that. We want the happy girl on the top. So we're going to go over some strategies to get you from point A to point B. You know, job search is like anything else. It's a skill that can be learned. And if you're not succeeding in your job search, it does not mean you do not have value in the marketplace. It just means you haven't mastered the job search skills yet. So we're going to go over top 5 skills in resume and a bunch of other things. So first off, my top tip for you is to select one target job type. So for those of you who are thinking about transitioning, I heard from one of you that you know which field you want to be in, and then I heard from another that it's not clear yet which field you want to be in. So a lot of times people think when they want to get a job, the first thing they need to do is update their resume. But I would suggest that actually the first thing you need to do is decide what you really want to do. And of course, what you really want to do needs to be something that you're able to be recruited for. So it's not going to be like, oh, I want to be a NBA player if you're not a basketball player. It can't be your fantasy job. In other words, it's got to be realistic, but something that you would love to do. Then the second thing I want to recommend is to use as many of the job posting keywords as possible. So when you read a job posting, there's going to be a number of keywords. For example, the title is a keyword. So let's say the job position is Client Success Manager. Can anybody guess what the keywords would be there?
Client.
Yes. And you can also put them together, right? So I would say client success is a really good keyword phrase there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have had any other job where you have helped with clients to be successful, then you can find a way to work that keyword phrase into your resume. Now you're also going to find keywords throughout the job posting. So if they say one of the things you'll be doing is answering the phone, representing the business in the best possible light, then you want to talk about other times that you've answered the phone or other times that you've represented an organization in the best possible light. Of course, the requirements are also keywords. So if they're requiring somebody who is coachable, you want to make sure that coachable finds its way into, now, probably not your resume, because coachable is a description of you. It doesn't really belong on your resume, but it's something you could mention in your cover letter, and we'll talk about cover letters next. If they say you must have an advanced knowledge of Microsoft Word, you want to make sure that Microsoft Word is listed on your resume with advanced skill level in parentheses or something like that. Oh, and by the way, the reason this is important is because the person reviewing your resume is going to be looking for keyword match. Now there's two ways that keyword matching happens. It can happen through a computer, which is called a resume scanner or applicant tracking system, ATS, or it can happen with a human being using Command or Control F, right? If they're looking for somebody who has experience in, say, client onboarding, they're going to do Control or Command F onboarding to see if they can find the word onboarding in your resume, or at least onboard, like onboarded, onboards, right? So you want to make sure that you have some form of that keyword, preferably the form that's in the job posting in your resume more than once. At least once is good, but more than once is better. That's how you're going to convince either the applicant tracking system or the human that you are the right kind of candidate. So number 3, and this is where one of you said, let's see who it was, if I go back to my notes. Tracy, what to put on your resume to sell yourself. This is how you sell yourself. You use numbers in as many bullets as possible to show your impact on the organization. And when I get through this list, I'm going to show you an example of a good resume with some of those quantified accomplishments. But most people, when they write their resume, they will write it just like a job posting. So if the job posting said, answer the phones to represent the business in the best possible way, on their resume, they're going to put answered the phones to represent the business in the best possible way. This is a very lazy way of building your resume. It's good for a start, but you really want to show how you added value. You didn't just do the job and not get fired. You did the job in a way that was extra, in a way that was more than the average employee would do. So maybe you want to say, and you can also quantify how much, right? Maybe it was, answered 25 calls a day. Maybe it was mastered a complex transferring system. And you can also put representing the business as professional and caring, or something specific to show that you did something better than just answering the phone. Okay, number 4, you want to proofread it and have someone else proofread it to be sure there are no errors. You would be surprised how many errors are in people's resumes when you have an expert look at it. Now, it's possible that somebody will miss the errors, but it's also possible that they will say they can't have a person with this kind of resume representing their business. Now, it becomes more important if it's a job where you have to communicate in writing. If you have to communicate with clients, for example, they're going to assume that the resume is the best example of how well you write. So you want to make sure that it represents your writing skills the best possible way. And to do that, you want to read it a couple of times. Use spell check, but spell check is not going to catch everything. So make sure somebody else proofreads it too, to give you any input in terms of whether they find any errors. And this also includes the formatting. You want the formatting to be very consistent, very tidy, because a lot of times people say in their resume or their cover letter, I am detail oriented. But not many people really are detail oriented if you look at the details of their resume. So if somebody wants to know if you're detail oriented, they're going to look at how you formatted your resume. Is it completely consistent? And then finally, and this is for Tati. You said you wanted to get into the field that you got your degree in. Don't try to get a job in a new field using only a resume. You will have to network. So when you are making a career transition, it's unlikely that you're going to get into the field using just a resume. Now, the exception is maybe in Joni's case, since you're looking for entry-level jobs and you have a degree in that field, you may be able to get it using only a resume. However, in most cases, if you are trying to go into a new field, when the employer looks at your resume, they may think, oh, I love this resume. It shows this person has done so many great things for their previous employers, but it's not really the background that we had in mind for this position. And you may say, well, I have the skills to do the job and I know I can do the job, but there's going to be a question mark in the employer's mind when they see that you don't match the background they had in mind. So they're going to probably put you into the maybe pile. And I'm talking about piles of who gets interviewed. There's a no pile, there's a yes pile, and there's a maybe pile in many cases. The problem with going into the maybe pile is they're almost never going to call you. They're going to call the yes people, and then they may go back to the maybes if they didn't find anybody in the yeses, or they may just post it again or forget about the maybes altogether. So the way networking helps you is it can get you bumped from the maybe pile to the yes pile. Let's say that Tati knows Brenda, who works at the organization she wants to work at. And Brenda says, hey, you should check out my friend Tati. I think she would be great here, and she has a degree in whatever the job field is. And so the hiring manager says, okay, well, if you think that, she'd fit in here and she's reliable and professional, I'll give her a chance. I'll give her an interview. And then at the interview, anybody can get the job. So it's your job if you can make the hiring manager love you. And we're not really going to talk too much about interviewing today, even though it's my favorite topic. I think there's a program planned for later on interviewing. Is that right, Beth?
That's right. I was going to mention that at the end, but we've got another program with Katherine 1 month from now on March 2nd at 7:30. So at the end of tonight, if any of you are interested in that one, I can sign you up before we all leave the room.
Perfect. Okay, so I wanted to give you an example of how a resume might look. Now, I've blacked out the person's name and contact information here, but this is a real resume that we wrote for clients. So you see we've got a nice headline here with the keywords, right? HR and benefits were keywords for the kind of job she wants. We talk about how many years of experience she has. And once you get over 20 years, you can put 20 plus. You don't need to put 30 years, whatever, because that could lead into age discrimination territory. So we don't want to invite that. And then we tell them some main points about what she does, why they would want to hire her. And then we give them a list of core competencies. Now, why do you guys think we have this list of core competencies here?
Something that stands out about that person for us, the things that they have accomplished overall for that specific job that they're applying for, that would relate to the announcement of the job.
Okay, well, this isn't about accomplishments per se, but it is about competencies or skills. So yeah, it should be the keywords from the job posting are here. And remember the thing I told you about the keywords, keyword richness. This is creating keyword richness. Remember I said you should have them more than once in your resume? If you have something here about, let's say, regulatory compliance was one of the keywords in the job posting, you want to have it here, and then you want to have it somewhere in your experience bullets, maybe more than once also, but it gives you more keyword richness to have this list of core competencies. And you want to tailor this to the job, right? Don't put things on there that aren't relevant to the job. So you're going to change these according to the job. Now here's the experience section. We mentioned the company, and then we told them something about the company. This is their annual revenue, so they get a sense of how big it is. And then we got the experience bullet. So when you just glance at this without reading this section, what stands out to your eyes?
It's really organized. And I love how like each bullet point, it starts with like a different action verb. So it's not like,
yeah, but you're reading it. So without reading, what stands out to your eyes?
Bullets.
Bullets, what else?
It's just a lot. I mean, it says she's pretty confident in,
Yeah, it's some good detail. But what stands out to my eyes is the numbers.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
put all numbers in the resume in digits, even small ones like here. Like normally in good English, you would write out numbers under 10. Here we put them all in digits because they draw the eye. And people find numbers more persuasive than assertions, just words, right? So if you say she assisted 400 employees in 2019, that's like, wow. Whereas if you just said she assisted all employees of the company, doesn't have that same wow factor because we don't know how many employees that is. And so keep that in mind. Not just giving you a little scan. Oh, and also we talked about showing the difference that they made. So for example, here she resolves 1,400 tickets per quarter. So you're not going to know how many tickets you resolved, but you can estimate. You can say, oh, it was about, 30 per week, and then you multiply, right? And you can also, when you start a new job, take baseline numbers. Like how many tickets were being resolved per quarter when I started? And after I was there on the job for 2 years as a manager, how many tickets were getting resolved per quarter? So it can show that you improved things over time. Now, if you actually read some of these, you can see like how she made a difference. For example, in this bullet, modernized organizational benefits program, enhancing and launching programs to meet employee needs. This included creating discounts initiative and health wellness program for 2,000 staff. So that's a wow. That's something she did that wasn't in the job description. She saw a need and she chose to make something cool happen. So your resume should probably be 2 pages unless you are very, if you're just a few years out of college, 1 page is fine. But for most mid-career employees, it's going to be 2 pages. Don't make it longer than 2 pages. In this case, since she had more than 20 years of experience, we covered the first 10 years or so. I don't know how old this resume is. And then previous to 10 years, we just mentioned a few bullet points of other things we wanted to highlight. Then we've got our education. If you don't have a degree, you don't have to have an education section. You could have training, for example, instead. Here she has some training as well. And then we have technical skills and volunteerism. The volunteerism it's not going to make you get a job, but it's going to make you look like a good person. And sometimes it can show additional skills. And look at this, there's another wow factor. She raised 3.5K to help Indigenous peoples in Vietnam and Cambodia. And you don't know also, here you may find things that you have in common. Person reads this and they go, oh, she must be Catholic. That's cool, so am I. Or the person says, oh, she's helping the mentally ill. That's wonderful. I have someone mentally ill in my family. Or wow, she's helping Indigenous people in Vietnam and Cambodia. We have a relationship with a Vietnamese family. So I like that she's helping them. So it creates some nice commonalities. All right, let's go back to presentation. All right. I got to keep track of the time too. Time flies when you're having fun. All right, we did resume. Cover letter. All right, do you need a cover letter? What do you guys think?
Probably.
I think it helps make you stand out.
Okay, great. So it can help make you stand out. Some people do get hired without a cover letter. I'm not saying they don't. It does depend a little bit on your field. If you're in the IT field, a lot of times people don't use a cover letter. If you're in a field that involves a lot of communication, you want to take advantage of the opportunity to write a nice cover letter to show off your writing skills and your motivation. It does make you stand out. However, I do not recommend writing one cover letter and using it for everybody. That's just annoying. It just makes the employer feel like you didn't take the time to address them specifically. So my number 2 point is personalize the address. So meaning address it to a specific person. Rarely in a job posting, they will tell you who the hiring manager is. Sometimes they will say something like reports to the senior vice president for human resources. If they say that, the hiring manager is likely the senior vice president for human resources. And guess what? You can probably figure out who that is by Googling or going to LinkedIn and typing in senior vice president, human resources, and the name of the company like Cohesity. Now, if you can't figure out who the hiring manager is by Googling, you could also call the company and ask who the hiring manager is for this job. Or you could say, you know, who supervises the client success department, for example, and then you could address it to that person. If you can't get a name, you can put Dear Hiring Manager. But how nice is it to get a letter correctly addressed to your own name? And I say correctly addressed. I've had many cover letters addressed to me incorrectly, which does not help you. Now, you also want to personalize the content. So like I said, you don't want to send the same cover letter to everybody. You want to really show that you thought about this organization and what their needs are, and you specifically addressed what they mentioned in the job posting. Do not pretend you are uniquely qualified. This is one of my pet peeves. A lot of cover letters say, I am uniquely qualified for this job. Can anybody tell me what uniquely means?
I guess
Like specifically,
Sorry?
maybe you're different. I don't know.
Well, everybody is different.
I know, that's why I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, unique refers to one thing. There's only one person who's qualified. So it's crazy to assert that you are the only person who's qualified for this job. It just sounds arrogant also, so don't say that. There's many qualified people. You may be the one they want, but don't say that you're uniquely qualified. And by the way, you don't have to be the most qualified person to get the job. The most qualified person doesn't necessarily get the job. And that doesn't mean that they're being racist or sexist or ageist or discriminating in some way. It might just be that they liked that other person more, or they liked you more because you used your social and emotional intelligence in the interview, which we'll talk about in the next presentation. And then the last one, make it about what you can do for them, not what you want or your journey. A lot of times people write a cover letter like, you know, I did this and I did that, and now I want to do this. And that's really not going to help you get the interview. What's going to help you get the interview is if the interviewer reads the letter and is like, oh, this person is going to make my job better. This person is going to make my organization better. So definitely focus on that. The word you should appear as much or more than I. Okay. All right. Now we have a bonus section. I didn't say I was going to tell you about LinkedIn, but I am.
Yay.
All right. So my top 5 LinkedIn tips. Number 1, show what you can do for employers in a summary. It's not about bragging. It's about showing your impact. So a lot of times people feel like they have to sell themselves, but they don't want to sell themselves. So I just want you to think about, you are selling yourself, but not for you. You're selling yourself for them, if that makes sense. You want to show them that you can meet their needs. You can solve their problems. In the end, it's going to help you because you're going to get a job, but you need to write it with that in mind. You want to use subheads to make your LinkedIn profile extra keyword rich to help you rise to the top in recruiter searches. And I can show you how this looks on my profile real quick.
Catherine, so would you highly recommend that everybody have a LinkedIn profile?
Yep, I certainly would. Okay, so here's mine. So you see here how this is written. It says client relations, human resources, training and development, and career support. These are the subheads. And then there's a colon, and then there's the bullet for my resume. So this makes my profile more keyword rich. If somebody's looking for someone who has experience in training and development and human resources and so on, my profile will be more likely to come to the top, especially if it appears multiple times. Each bullet has a subhead like that. All right. So you also want to choose your skills. Okay, so just to finish that point, you want to rise to the top in recruiter searches. So when recruiters are looking for people, they're mainly going to LinkedIn. And they're going to type in some of the skills that they're looking for, and then they're going to get search results. Just like when you Google something, you get pages of search results. And just like when you Google something, they're probably not going to go to page 5. They're going to go through page 1. And if they're extra determined, they might look at page 2. But you need to be on page 1. So to rise to the top, you want to use as many of those keywords as possible in your profile.
Catherine,
Yeah.
on that note, do you know what recruiter headhunters are like, legit or reputable, professional?
All right, we're going to talk about working with recruiters next.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you also want to choose your skills carefully. That's the skills list at the end of the LinkedIn profile. You want to get rid of any irrelevant ones. What's irrelevant? Something you no longer want to do, right? Like, so, you know, I might be good as a conference organizer, but that's not really something I want to do in the future. So I'm not going to list that on my profile anymore. And you want to make the top 3 the most relevant ones, because only 3 show. And then if you want to see the other ones, you have to click on see more. So choose those very carefully. Number 4, get lots of recommendations from former bosses, colleagues, etc. This is giving you social proof. Other people like working with you. So now you get to prove it by having those recommendations. And that also helps you rise to the top in the search results. And number 5, join groups for your industry or function. You want to be in the education field, join a education or teachers group. You want to be in the human resources field, join human resources professionals, and so on. And there are also human resources professionals, Mid-Atlantic, for example. So they can be regional. All right, so top 5 tips for using job boards. Job boards are where you're going to find most of the jobs listed. But people make a lot of mistakes when using them. And this is how you hear about some people who've applied for 100, 200, 300 jobs, and they haven't gotten any interviews. I really hate to hear about that. So this is the main reason is because they applied with 1 click. And the job boards will tell you, apply with 1 click. They want you to apply. Don't fall into that trap. They want you to apply for their reasons, which is that they want to show that they brought lots of candidates to the employer. But it's not going to help you to apply for dozens of jobs. So if the job is worth applying for, it's worth taking the time to tailor your documents. So you want to submit within 3 or 4 weeks of posting if possible. Now I find that when I post a job on job boards, the first day's responses are terrible. People are probably like, oh, I should be the first one to apply for this. No, you should not. Because if you're applying that fast, I know you haven't taken the time to really make sure that your documents match what I'm looking for. So don't wait too long because you could miss the opportunity, but don't be in so much of a rush that you don't put your best foot forward. You need to take the time, maybe an hour or 2 hours, to tailor your documents to the job posting. And people will say, oh, I don't have time for that. I'm in a crush, COVID, whatever panic they're in. But I'm telling you, your job search will be shorter and you'll be happier with the new job if you take your time and only apply for a small number of jobs. So you want to read the job ad a few times and objectively consider if you're the type of candidate that could do the job well and that has 80 to 100% of what they're looking for. I mean, nowadays with COVID, there's a lot of great people who are unemployed through no fault of their own. So that competition is stiffer than it used to be. Also, employers have realized they can recruit across the country and they don't have to be limited to the particular area, which also increases the competition. But then again, it also increases your opportunities. So you have a lot more opportunities you could do all over the country.
Catherine,
Yeah.
what happens when people have like a like they worked for so many years and then they have a break? And so
Gotta
sometimes,
handle that on the resume.
yeah, and so then sometimes you think that that's a reason why you're not getting hired for a job.
Okay. I don't think that's the reason you're not getting hired for the job. A lot of times people get an idea in their head of why they're not getting hired, and it's usually not the real reason.
Okay.
But just realize that may be something that you feel insecure about, but that isn't necessarily the reason. Now, if you do have a break, I would recommend putting on your resume what you were doing. So for Tracy, for example, you can put full-time parent and put the years. Everybody understands that some people are full-time parents, and most of us appreciate that that makes society a better place. Nobody's going to hold that against you. You know, if you were in prison or something, then, you know, that gets more awkward, but if you're doing something nice, like taking care of aging parents or children, that's fine.
What about if it's something else? Like you've had some life-changing situations, like you became disabled for a period of time, you were in a vehicle accident.
Yeah, medical leave.
Medical, okay.
Yep. Yep, just put it short, clear. If asked about it in an interview, don't make it a big deal. Just give them a quick answer that doesn't show you have any baggage. All right, my number 3, don't worry if they already rejected you. Sometimes our career coach gets asked this. I already applied to this company 3 times. Why would I apply to them again? Well, if you want to work there, apply again. I don't think they have a list of people that they've rejected before. They're looking at these applications in 6 seconds. They don't remember who you are. So just do it right the next time, and you have every chance of getting accepted. Oh, that's weird. Oh, there we go. Don't follow up. Sometimes our clients want to know, how can they follow up with the hiring manager? Should they contact them on LinkedIn? No, don't do that. Just leave them alone. Go apply for something else. They don't want to be bugged. Of course, if you did interview with them and they said, hey, we'll get back to you next week, and next week came and went, it's okay to send a gentle, I'm still interested, hope to hear from you when the time is right, you know, non-pushy email or something. But if you just applied and they haven't contacted you, it may be a de facto rejection, or it may be that they haven't gotten around to it yet. Either way, you should just move on. A lot of people are annoyed that people don't respond when they apply. Just keep in mind that some people are really hostile when they get a rejection notice. So this is why employers sometimes don't communicate with those that they are rejecting. And then number 5, plan to apply for 20 jobs. I would say even 10 if you do a great job on your resume and cover letter, and do so in excellence. Don't plan to apply for dozens or hundreds of jobs. So you pick them carefully and do a great job in applying, and your job search, I guarantee you, will go faster. All right, so now we have top 5 tips for working with recruiters, which somebody asked about. I think maybe it was Jonah. Do not make contacting recruiters or headhunters a major part of your job search strategy. Why? Because they work for employers, not for candidates. You cannot pay somebody to find you a job. That's considered unethical in the hiring industry because they usually get paid by employers. So they would be double dipping if they also got paid by you. Now, if you happen to be in a particular field, let's say you have bookkeeping skills and you find out about somebody that recruits only accounting people. In that case, I would say, yes, do send them your resume, but don't say, oh, I'm going to find 50 recruiters and send them my resume and then bug them every week. No, that's not a good way to get your job search done. It's much better to let them find you on LinkedIn when they have a job that's right for you. So search and optimize your profile by loading it with search terms appropriate to your target job type. We already talked about that. Now, when they do contact you, you want to respond within 24 hours or preferably sooner. you know, a lot of candidates that recruiters reach out to do not ever respond, or they respond in a flaky, sometimes yes, sometimes no way. So if you have your email inbox is piled in with junk, either get off lists or open up a special job search email that you are going to check 3 times a day, and it's not going to have any other junk in it so that you won't miss anything. Same thing with voicemail. Make sure your voicemail is set up. It doesn't sound professional when they call you and it says your voicemail is full, or it says you've reached number, instead of, hi, this is Katherine Akbar. Thanks for calling. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you, you know? And then you want to return their call within 24 hours or sooner, preferably. I can't believe how many people say, I'll get back to you as soon as possible, and they don't return calls. So that's not how to get off on a good foot. And then be honest about whether the job is right for you. We had a client recently who came to me and wanted me to prepare him to interview for a job that a recruiter had reached out to him for. And as I was interviewing him, he really didn't have the skills for the job. He had worked in a similar area. He was familiar with it, but he really wasn't the expert that they were looking for. And I was like, man, why are you doing this to yourself? You're not going to be the top candidate for this job. And he's like, well, the recruiter reached out to me and I want a new job. And I was like, yeah, but the recruiter is just trying to fill the position. He doesn't know this field as well as you and I do. And you know that this isn't really your skill set. So if the job's not right for you, thank them. And if you know somebody it's right for and you can help that recruiter get it filled with a friend of yours, you have 2 happy people, the recruiter and your friend. So that's always a good way to go. All right, now we get to the fun part. 8:14 though, well, it's almost time for Q&A. We'll do a little bit of this. I don't know if you guys have a lot of questions since we kind of handled a lot of them already, but this is a little game. So 2 of these things are true, and one of them is kind of a lie or less true, right? So let's read them and you guys figure out which one is the least true. So candidates whose resumes show they have a background closest to the job requirements are likely to be interviewed. Candidates with the best written, most impressive looking resumes are likely to be interviewed. Candidates with the resumes that contain the most relevant keywords are likely to be interviewed. Which one do you guys think it is?
The last one.
The last one's the least true?
I think the
Oh.
second
I thought it was
one.
the second one.
Second is
The
the
second-
least.
The second one is the least true. Good. So your resume needs to be well written, yes, and it needs to be tidy. It doesn't have to be impressive looking. Like some people have their resumes graphically designed. No, it doesn't need to be graphically designed. If you have a graphically designed resume, that just screams you didn't write it yourself. You want them to think you wrote it yourself. You want them to think you're a brilliant writer who's very tidy and detail oriented, even if you didn't. All right, so here's 2 truths and a lie about LinkedIn. Your best LinkedIn profile is the one that will rise to the first page of search engine results when a recruiter looks for someone with your target job type. Your best LinkedIn profile is the one that you are proud of and that makes a great first impression when you're networking online. Your best LinkedIn profile is the one that will get you contacted by the most recruiters because it has broad appeal. Which one is the least true?
I think it's the third one.
Mhm.
Yeah, the third one.
Good job. Yep, the third one. Now, it might be flattering to be contacted by a lot of recruiters, but broad appeal is not the best way to get a job. The best way to get a job is to look perfect for the thing that you most want to do and that employers will want you to do. All right, let's do a choose your own adventure. You see a job that's perfect for you. You, A, tailor your cover letter and resume to the job and send in your application within a few days.
Yeah.
B, apply with 1 click so that your application gets in before anyone else's. Or C, contact their human resources person on LinkedIn to try to network your way in. Tracy, you got the other one, so.
I think it's
What's the
A.
word?
I just think it's A. It just sounds right.
No, I said mum's the word.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't mean you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it's A. That's the best choice. You definitely
that's-
don't want to apply with one click, and you don't want to bug the HR person. By the way, you can network your way in, but not with human resources. Talk to other people. Human resources doesn't want to be inundated, right?
They're already filled with bunches of people.
Exactly. All right, so this is we chose A, we got the interview. If you chose B, you get frustration. If you choose C, you get what? All right. So there's a fun quiz on our website. What kind of career animal are you? Get ahead in your career. So the website is yeswriting.com. And it's helpful to know your personality type. That way you
What's
will.
the name?
What
The
was the
website is
one?
yeswriting.com.
Yes.
Writing, like reading and writing. When you know your personality type, you will have a better sense of what your strengths are. So this is a fun little quiz to take. And it's
Is
tied.
that a beaver?
That's a beaver.
Oh,
Beaver is one of the types.
okay. I wasn't sure.
And there's another quiz on our website too. What's the right career strategy for you? So just a little bit about our company. Our resumes and cover letters get people more interviews. An average client interviews with 5 organizations. Our LinkedIn help gets you contacted by an average, this says 9 recruiters, but I actually didn't update it. It's 12 recruiters now. The interview Aikido training, which we'll be talking about in the next presentation, gets people more offers at better pay. And our median average client gets a new job in 8 weeks it's actually 14% more pay now, with 50% getting 2 offers, which is always nice when you have 2 offers to choose from. And then we also have career advancement and executive coaching for success on the job after you get the job if you want it. And we offer business coaching too. So if you go to that website I mentioned, yeswriting.com, you can request a free career success consultation about our services. So anything that you guys would like to ask me that I haven't already covered?
So you said writing.com?
Yeswriting.com. Yes, ma'am.
And then what was the website for that was before this one? I just didn't jot down the
Yeswriting.com.
yeah, the one after that one and before this one.
There's only one website I mentioned.
Oh, that's it? Oh, okay. All right, I got it then.
Yep.
Hey, Catherine, I had a question about the voicemail. Could you give us like an example of one that you've used or one that's like effective?
So for your outgoing voicemail,
Mm-hmm.
it can be something simple like, thank you for calling me, Tati Diaz. Please leave a message and I'll be glad to call you back.
Okay.
You know, you want to use your full name. You don't want it to sound goofy, sexy, anything, you know, other than straight professional.
Okay. Thank you.
And that same thing goes for your email address, right? It shouldn't be like delicious booty or Drake lover or, you know, mom teacher or anything like really personal. It should be just your first name, your last name, maybe a number if you have to add a number to it to make, you know, to get the address or whatever.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Anything else? I answered all your questions already, huh?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Kath. How can somebody get smart with LinkedIn's? Like, what looks good on LinkedIn's?
What looks good on LinkedIn's?
Yeah, like how can you get better at making sure your LinkedIn looks, you know, I call ready for opportunities.
Okay, well, there is a ready to work that you can put on your profile. It goes like right there. I don't quite know how you do that, but I'm sure you can Google it and find out. So looking at my profile here, I've got this profile photo that it's like a background photo that represents what I do, right? It's kind of like a light at the end of a journey. And then I put here a little like tagline, turning difficult. I put this one on after COVID started, turning difficult situations into blessings in disguise, because so many people were laid off. Then I've got a professional headshot here. You want to have that. You don't want to have a photograph where you cut somebody else out, or, you know, you looking gorgeous in your bikini and you can see, like, you know, that your shoulders are bare. And then you want to have a great headline. So here I put expert resume writer, career success speaker, interview Aikido coach, and outplacement provider. They give you a lot of space now for this headline. So you can put a number of nouns describing you like this. You can even put a sentence. You could put, you know, expert resume writer. I help people find new jobs twice as fast as the national average, for example. You then have your about section. Now, mine is not written the way we usually write them for clients. We usually write them for clients with some bullet points of their selected accomplishments, but mine is written in a different way because kind of selling people on using the business. Then I have videos. You guys probably don't have videos, but if you have a video where you are speaking, you could include those. Then you want to think about your activity. Sometimes I'm tempted to make snide political remarks, but everybody can see this. So be careful what you say. And then under your experience, you've got your different jobs. Now here again, I have videos that go with this job, but you may not. And there's a lot of room for these. So you don't have to make it as short as a resume, because the keyword richness really matters here. But you want it to be well written and can be similar to your resume bullets. And you can go back as far as you want. So here I go all the way back to the last millennium, which many of you weren't even born then, but
Say the last what?
millennium.
Yeah, I was.
And then I've got my education. And you can add some details, right? So I put what I specialized in. Then here I put what my thesis was on. I've got volunteer experience. You've got then the skills. So the top 3 that I wanted to highlight are the ones really relevant to what I'm doing now. And then I've got 105 recommendations, because I worked really hard at getting recommendations. You guys don't need 105. You could have 3 to 5 would be nice, you know. Then under accomplishments, you can have, like here, I have a bunch of publications. I have some honors and awards, mostly from school. Foreign languages, if any, or an organization you might be a member of. And then these are, they list them as interests. They're like groups that you're, you know, organizations you're following, like your university, or funny, they used to have groups here, but I don't. Oh, here's a group, Mid-Atlantic HR leaders that I'm in and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
Other questions?
So I have a couple like short questions. I was just wondering, I have some recommendations, but they're from like June 2017. Should I just not use them anymore?
No, that's not far back.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, maybe I can like email the person and then they can give me another recommendation, but it's the same person.
Oh, no.
It's just like a different date.
That's very recent. And even if it weren't recent, it's fine. I mean, if you were awesome 20 years ago, like how awesome must you be now? You know what I mean?
Okay. And then I was wondering, my last name is very hard to spell and hard to pronounce, and my email is very professional. It's just my T for Tracy, P for Pearl, and then my last name. But on several different occasions, people have come up to me and asked me to specifically change my email. just because they've written me emails and I've never gotten them, or whatever reason they go cross-eyed looking at my email. So should I change it?
Wow.
I don't know.
That's so amazingly bold of them to
Like
ask
they're
you
like,
to
oh,
change
your
because
last
they couldn't
name
pay
is
attention to how you spell your name.
right. They're just
Sexist almost. Or something.
it's yeah.
Yeah, I think you should leave it. And if they
Okay.
can spell your name, that just says something about them. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's kind of like misgendering someone or calling them by the wrong name. I mean, it's just really just disrespectful. Like, people need to get each other's names right. And of course, nobody's perfect, but
Okay.
they need to make the effort to spell your name right, and you shouldn't have to change your email address. I mean,
No.
if you
Like
want
they're
to,
not going to
if
be
you
like,
want
oh,
to
so
put Tracy
complicated.
PI, for example, you can, but I
Uh-huh.
don't think there's anything wrong with having your full name. In fact, I prefer it, because
Mm.
there's also something of stature. When you introduce yourself by your full name, it gives you stature. So I would
Okay.
recommend this to all of you. When you meet somebody socially, don't just be like, hi, I'm Tracy. Say, I'm Tracy Alakwa. It shows that you have some like gravitas, it makes you seem like a more serious person. So I do recommend that. And of course, they're not going to remember your last name, but it's okay. It's part of
And
your
also
identity.
for headshots, like, is it okay if your spouse just takes it for you, or do you have to like go somewhere to get them, or for headshots?
If you're, the headshot. You can have a snapshot like taken by a family or friend. It's going to
Okay.
look better if you have it done professionally.
Okay.
So if you have the money to invest, it's a good idea to get it done professionally. Now, this one
Okay.
that I had done, I didn't actually pay for because it was done at a conference. It was included in the conference.
Okay.
If you come to our company, it's $99, which is cheap by headshot standards.
Right.
But you have options.
Just with COVID going on, my husband
You
doesn't want
could
me
use
to.
a snapshot, but it has to be a really good one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Catherine, now
Yeah.
that you speak about that, will you next session or before tonight's out, or maybe the next session, talk a little bit more about what your company can do for potential people who might be interested in pursuing you for that coaching or resume writing?
Well, I would encourage you to sign up for the free phone consultation at our website. I can't use the public library to, promote my services, but you are welcome to take advantage of that opportunity. And then you will tell us about your goals and where you get stuck in your job search, and you'll be able to hear about everything we have to offer and then decide if you want to go for any of it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. And if you would like, I can put you on the list to receive some career success tips when I have the chance to send those out. Would you guys like that, or would you rather not? Jonah, you want that? Okay.
I would like it.
Anybody else? Tracy?
Me too,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah,
Tati?
I mean, Gazelle, I would.
Okay, so basically all of you. So Jonah,
And-
Tati, Tracy, and Giselle. And then I don't think they were all on the list, Beth, right? So do we have to gather their?
No, I
Put
think
me on-
everybody here was on the list, and we had one other person who was on the list who popped in for a short time. I don't know if you saw that, and then left again.
Okay. All right,
Put
guys.
me-
And I have all your email addresses, and I will add you all. But don't be sorry if you don't hear from me for a while, because it takes me time to get the emails out. But if you want to hear from us sooner, go to our website. You can read all the blogs, watch all the videos, and sign up for a free phone consultation if you want our help.
And is it possible to get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, I can email it to you guys.
Okay, appreciate it.
Great. Thank you tonight, Catherine. Very good
Thank
information
you.
to us. And thank you for the library for hosting this event.
You're welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it, everybody. And don't forget, Catherine's going to be back doing another one of these, but focused on interviewing 1 month. So if you guys want to let me know before you leave, if you'd like for me to sign you up for that and register you so you don't have to worry about doing it, I'd be happy to do that.
Sign me up. You.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'd like to.
Coming up, Gazelle. Me too,
Okay.
Gazelle.
Got you, Gazelle. And Tati.
Mhm.
And Tracy too?
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome.
So what's the date? It's March.
It'll be another Tuesday, March 2nd at 7:30.
Okay.
Oh,
And then I
okay.
was wondering, like for recommendations, how you said coworkers and bosses. What about if you don't have enough of those? Like, can you use friends that share the same professional goals? Like, like they're interested in teachers, and you talk about teaching and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I don't know what they're going to be able to say if they haven't seen you teach.
True. Maybe I should ask for it again. I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was planning on
Some jobs,
volunteering.
Tracy?
Yeah.
Have you had some jobs?
I have, but they're not really like, I was a nanny. That's not really like, it's not really like the same as a teacher. But
It's
yeah.
similar. I think you should definitely have your employer from when you were a nanny write you recommendation.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
daughter. That's
Tell
a
them,
nanny.
hey,
They
I'm
took-
looking to go into the education field. If
Yeah.
you remember anything related to how I, taught the children things, please be sure to mention that,
Okay.
or-
coach people on what you want them to say.
right.
Okay.
And the thing, I have a daughter who nannies like you, or have nanny like you. You want that person. That person is going to talk about your character for us, referencing the fact that you look after their child in a social setting and just a well-being setting, and that alone will be worth a lot for us in the education arena, because I think that in this time and era with the COVID, people have realized that teachers are valued more than what they used to be valued, in a sense. So don't discount because you nanny, that doesn't mean anything. That means a lot, because
Yeah.
for myself, when I had a nanny for my own daughter, that was a personal person who I felt like had my best interests at heart when I was out working and was looking out for my daughter. So that is definitely a good character reference.
Yeah, it speaks to your trustworthiness, your professionalism, your patience. I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teaching them social skills.
There you go. All right, all, well, great. Good luck this next month. Let us know if we can help. And otherwise, I'll see you March 2nd.
Thank you, Catherine.
You.
Thank you so much.
I was glad we had this intimate night together.
Yeah.
It was nice. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Thank you, Catherine.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think everybody seemed to enjoy that and get a lot out of it.
Yeah, good.
And we'll see if we can get an even bigger group for next time.
Yes. All right. Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
So, and you have all the email addresses, right, that you need to send those things out?
I believe so. Let's see. Where's
I think it was an Excel file I sent you.
what? Where did it go? Probably open on my screen somewhere. Let's see. You cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording. Oh, I should end the recording.